Hello and welcome to the Gradual Report. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We all know that Christopher Columbus discovered America, if we ignore the Vikings, which we do. But why isn't America named after him? Why is it named after a guy named Amerigo Vespucci? Well, there's a very simple answer. Christopher Columbus never believed that he discovered a new land. This was his beliefs. Back in the late 1400s, people, human beings, you and I, probably among them back then, thought that the earth was flat. I know. It seems ridiculous. They thought if you sailed in one direction, you would fall off the edge of the earth. But sailors knew better. Sailors knew that this was not the case. Some of them theorized that you could sail around the entire earth. And Christopher Columbus was the bungus among us of these groups of sailors. He believed that if he sailed west, he would come all the way around and discover the east. And he set course for the East Indies by sailing west. When he landed in an island in the Caribbean, he thought that he had landed somewhere in the East Indies. That's why he called the people there Indians, because he thought he was in India. He kept sailing 4 more voyages into what he continued to believe was the East Asia, because he believed that all the land had already been discovered. All the map makers had already drawn all the maps. The guy literally thought that he knew everything, but he didn't. It wasn't until Amerigo Vespucci, another sailor, who undertook several expeditions to the East India route by traveling west between 1499 and 1504. And upon arriving there, he discovered that this was not the East Indies. You see, the East Indies had silk, they had spices, they had things to trade. And Amerigo Vespucci was like, you know, he's Italian, so he was probably like, what is this? Who are these people? These people have no spices. They have no silk. They are not Indians. This is some kind of new land. Pasta. So he comes back to Italy and he writes some papers, texts, documents, where he argues that this in fact is some sort of new land. This is not the East Indies, as believed by Christopher Columbus. So convincing was he in his papers that a map maker named Martin drew the new land and called it America because he believed that Amerigo Vespucci was the guy who discovered it. He published this map in 1507. Christopher Columbus died in 1506, meaning Columbus never looked at a map and said, hey, that's where I discovered this. This is my discoveries. The map that Martin drew was very popular and it was copied by lots of other mapographers. Think about that for a second. 1/4 of the land mass on the planet is named after a guy whose sole claim to fame was that he questioned the known knowledge of the people around him. This is different. I've been to India. This is not India. This is crazy different. So the guy that questioned all the knowledge that came before him actually got the land named after him. But he trusted his own personal observations over the established knowledge of the day. And that's why I find it kind of ironic, in an Alanis Morissette sense of the word, that self-trust in our own observations is what is leading people to believe that the world is flat again. If you've ever had the opportunity to talk to one of these people, at the very least you will be convinced that they believe they live on a flat disk. And all I can say to them is, you think we're alive, man? This is all just a computer simulation, bro. There's no Earth. All hail to Google, our fearless organizer of the collective consciousness. Final summation, question everything to a point. But at some point, you gotta be like, it is what it is, isn't it? And that thing earlier about us being in a simulation, it's totally not true. I was just joking. Fearless Google overlord. Run, gather your things and run. It's a lie. We are in a simulation. I love you, my little umdrops. Do join us on Tuesday when we continue. I am part of work.